Hello. I don't know how long this video is going to end up because there's a lot to put together which will paint a picture. Now, this realm is very much one of contrasts. Even in the making of this video, I've had the contrast of a lot of external noises and it's like, oh, when's it going to stop? On the negative perspective, but of course the positive perspective is I can reflect a little bit further about what I'm going to say because it's very complex and yet simple at the same time. An interesting contrast, a sign by the day, is how gloomy and overcast, and yet I'm seeing a clarity within. Oh dear. I'm going to take the time with this one. I don't want to rush it. So I've made a few notes because, like I say, there is a lot to go through. Now, a while ago I went out with Rudy and the dogs and noticed that there's an absence of insects, which was rather shocking initially. It was a reaction. But on reflection, which I mentioned in another video subsequent to that, having this like telepathic communication with the trees and getting the message come back effectively that nature is well aware and is in readiness and there is absolutely nothing to be concerned about. It was a perfect, beautiful confirmation. I've spoken in the past, I can't even remember which video it was on, maybe within the last year, about how this spiritual evolution is not just an evolution of humanity, but of all life. So I don't know how many of you have seen the videos that talk about these stones that seem to sort of hatch and sort of roll. It's as if the singular physical form of life is developing its etheric and it makes me wonder about a lot of things. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the videos, for example, on petrification, how wood, and you can see this for yourself if you see an old oak tree where the bark has come away, how that wood under the bark, the trunk of the tree, will discolour and go very sort of grey colour, resembling rock. It's an early form of the process. It is shown in, I think it's Mother Shipton's caves, where you can hang up teddy bears and things, and the running water with the minerals will calcify and petrify and turn anything into stone. So a plastic kettle that could be hung up there, pretty much anything. Bicycles, I believe, have been done as well, and over a very short period of time, through this sort of leaching process of minerals with this flowing water. And it is all about flow. Everything is about flow. Right, can go several directions with this. This spiritual journey, there becomes, well, to me at least anyway, two things are apparent. One is the awareness that we are not the physical body, our opinions, our beliefs, and so on. But at the same time, there is also the awareness of the interconnectedness of everything. So we are not separate from the physical body, and yet we are. It's sort of on the same blueprint principle of everything and nothing at the same time, and yet there is no time. It's sort of the ultimate paradox. I wish this thing would stay alight. Oh. So I was listening, let's go in some sort of order and semblance of order with this, try and keep this simple and flowing. I was listening to the Brian Scott channel, Robert Collier. It's a chapter called, where is it? What are we here for? That's a good question I feel that we all want the answer to. And it is expressed everywhere and yet nowhere. I'll give you an explanation of this as to what I mean. Take for example, and this sort of comes back almost a full circle, to petrification. The root within that is petrify, to turn solid, and also you have the second, the almost opposite meaning in petrify as to being scared to death. But Petra is where you also get the word Peter, as it says in the Bible. Jesus says to Peter, "You are my rock." And yet this is another one of these dualistic things with this experience. Whilst you have this expanding consciousness, you have this expansion, and at the same time there is no room for doubt or fear within that, no matter how big it gets, or the bigger it gets. And it will only get bigger by losing those, otherwise that will become like a vacuum that will consume and stop the potential of the expansion within yourself. So, what are we here for? That is the question. Well, there's several ways of looking at this. I listened to Rebecca Barron's channel, Find the Light RB, and she basically connects with Gaia and confirms the message that I got from the trees to saying nature is fully aware. Now think about the blueprint in the micro of ourselves here. We come into this world, into these bodies. It's a whole new experience. And we're taught and system programmed that we are these bodies and their opinions and beliefs and so on. And we're right and everybody else is wrong, etc., etc. And we've all got to compete against each other. Another way of expressing this is, as Adrienne Elise will often say in her videos on her Gaia Dailies, about supernova souls have been made to be afraid of their power, to play small. Well, it's no more playing small. It's finding that light within yourself, that Kundalini rising. As I'm going all over the place, I'm sorry about this. Another channel worth listening to is Claudio Silvaggi. The IU to me MITB replays. Now I listened to number 7 of 10. And he talks about the wonder that is shown in the sky on April the 15th, 2023. So you have the mother, the sun, and the moon at the feet of the mother. That will be shown in the sky. It's an astrological external projection. It's showing the same thing. If you listen to those 3 channels, and I'll put links for these specific videos, if you can hear that same message, regardless of the perspective and the language, it's very illuminating, shall we say. Where are we going next with this? Yeah, so this blueprint of us, of that discovering who we are, that saying about everybody wants a slice of the pie. Well, pi, as you know, is 314. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. Now, the Word obviously came before the flesh. But remember, the Word can be what you vocalize, that disturbance you put out into the ether. It can also be that voice inside you. Claudio talks about the breadcrumb trail. There's an expression about using your loaf, which is implied to the brain, because obviously the mind will feed the body with how it interprets and processes things, which creates chemical changes. But of course, the house of bread, where you have your system to process, is the stomach, the solar plexus, the place of the sun, the house of bread. So which loaf are you going to use? And let's look at the word loaf. You've got L, which I've said many times before, is a representation of the lower leg and the foot. So it makes an L shape. It's an angle, a right angle, you could say, is another expression when we use the capital L. But of course, when it is the lowercase l, it is also a 1. Interesting that, isn't it? It's just signs and expressions. Because obviously the alphabet and words in the external came later. Right, so yes, so the micro, if the micro is about discovering who we truly are, and that is shown to you in what is basically a handbook, which obviously has an idea behind that, which then, this handbook for this, run with this being a computer simulation, if you don't mind. I know some of you would be triggered by that, but the words are just an explanation. So please hear me out on this. So you've got this handbook called a Bible. Now, no matter which one you look at, take this as an internal message, an internal spiritual history, and you will play every part. You will play all the characters. There is only one playing all the parts, and you want to know who that is. Well, it's shown to you in the Exodus, the exit from the program, the direct operating system, the Exodus, and it's 3:1:4. I am that I am. And of course, we create. It's abracadabra. I speak, therefore I create, because we put a disturbance out in the ether. So you've got this handbook. Now, like I say, it doesn't matter which one you've got in front of you. All you've got to do is open it up. And this particular one says it's the King James Version. You will find there are numerous different versions. They are all, as they suggest, versions of the truth. You've got little phrases and verses, and of course you'll notice certain letters are in italics because they're interpolations. And you need a concordance to understand what these words are, but it is about it's an internal journey that is going on within you. But what if that same blueprint applies to Earth, to Gaia? This is basically what Find the Light RB channel has communicated from Gaia. It is becoming self-aware and realizing its potential and realizing it has been kept small under a control system, convinced to be frightened of its own power. Whatever is happening within us, within the micro-universes, these embodiments, these micro-universes, these physical bodies, is reflected in the external. So what if Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever you want to call it, what if that is going through the same process, following the same blueprint. Let's go a step further. Let's say this is a carbon copy of something else. So it seems pretty obvious, and I've given examples of this, how everything in this physical reality is based upon us and upon our physical dimensions. Hence you have chairs and tables which are built to the average height of a human. So they are designed around us. So what if, by extension of that, that is also a template? So this carbon copy reality, and even Earth itself, believes that through its awakening consciousness, Earth is realizing that it is also a caricature that is connected to like a higher self. It's an interesting concept, I think you'll agree. I will probably go over several videos and sort of expand on this and say pretty much the same thing again in slightly different perspectives, because I feel there is a lot to be gained from looking at all these perspectives on things. For example, now I don't know how many of you are aware of a channel called Niven. I'll put on a link. He's showing the opening sequences of John Levi's channel where it says thank you to Patreons, and it looks, from what is shown there, you have a genuine photograph of something that is up at the same height or level as this sun simulator. It looks to be like there's some sort of machinery. It may be the edge of this construct. Now, I'm not going to cast aspersions on any channel. The truth is known only to one. You can look at any channel and you can have doubts about them. Go with your inner feeling about anything of which, because for this perceived control to happen and for things to be appealing, there has to be a lot of truth in them. And I think you'll see this across the spectrum called religions, that there is enough to lure people in. They look attractive. If you were to look at, say, Freemasons pamphlets and things, and probably Illuminati and secret societies, things for the benefit of mankind, it all sounds splendid, it all sounds very positive. So there is always going to be some sort of advert to draw you into anything. There has to be an element of truth in everything, wherever you look. It comes down to discernment through experiences of reflecting on the external world and the internal world. What else have we got here? Yes, so the foundation stone, the rock on which you build in the internal, surely must be to face the shadow self, to face your inner self, your lower I, and realize that it is a frightened little child. And you've got this instinct thing that wants to keep you safe and keep you in a familiar environment, but a familiar, look at that word, it has a family of liar. It's a famine. And it's made up of lies, because we're not progressing, we're not expanding when we become static and stay still. That is as much true in this physical experience. Imagine if we did not have any intellect at all. We weren't given that, or pointed out that apple in the Garden of Eden, as it were, and we didn't discover for ourselves the knowledge of good and evil. We would be pretty much like the animal kingdom and just going through the motions and the reproduction and this cycle. But we have that extra thing that where we are apart from the animal kingdom, we're also upright. We're not on all fours like most of the animal kingdom. I know there are exceptions to that. Say the kangaroo, for example, but generally even that will sort of go on all fours as well. I digress. So if you haven't seen it already, I would also recommend that you look at Ken Wheeler's video on light and matter, and how light does form matter, and how light is just an expression within a frequency range of the same thing that is sound and everything else. And Ken has said on several videos about the thing that everything else comes from is hydrogen. So I had a look at that. I just went on Wikipedia. Oh dear, we're up to 21 minutes. I feel that's a good place to stop, and I will pick this up on a following video, because what I'm going to talk to you next will just add to this picture and give you different perspectives that are showing something that is very simple. So I will say love you all, ta-ta for now, and I will be back with a following video.